Greetings, Kooplings, and welcome to Play Some Video Games. Dev is on vacation for this week and next. So it's just me, Donnie, and Delvin, who's made his return just in the nick of time. So how are you doing there? And then we've got Sean Capri over from Carpool Gaming.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome.
Just in
Welcome.
time, boy, 'cause this show would have got really white.
Really white?
Yes.
What does that have to do with anything?
It would have been like 3 weeks of just generic white people.
Including Dev.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Well, Dev's gone for 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
would have been Dev. Would have been if I was still out of commission. It just been
I could leave.
insert.
Wow.
So you're not a generic white person. You're Sean Capri. You didn't even do the thing. You gotta do the thing. It's me, Sean Capri. That's what I love.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the
Makes my
thing.
day.
It's me, Sean Capri. I
Just
missed
come
that.
in screaming.
Yeah.
They say show us your feet.
Yeah, they said show us your feet, Donnie.
What kind of shit?
That's very on brand for us.
Not today, sir. I have a Patreon.
Oh yeah. I
We save that for the exclusive tier. You know what I'm saying?
Of course. Make them pay for it. You make them earn it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what I told him.
We don't have a ton of
It's
news.
starting weird.
We don't have a ton of news. We don't have a lot of questions, but I do have something that I really want to talk about. That I think could go long. So therefore, the question then becomes: either of you have anything that you want to talk about that you're playing, or anything before I start?
I don't care. Let you start, sir.
Yeah.
You sure?
Start. Yeah.
All right.
Of course.
All right. I just didn't want to be all selfish. I'm like, because I could start doing this and we talk for 90 minutes and that's it. We never come back.
Then that would be the show.
That's the reason I bring it up, is it might be the show. Okay.
Fine by me.
So I'm playing Doom. All the Dooms. Old Dooms, new Dooms, Doom 2, Doom 3. I'm playing Doom. Sigil. And I was doing that last week before Father's Day. So this is going to tie into my Father's Day story. But Sean, there's a reason why I invited you here today. It's twofold. But one of them, I was feeling like Sean last week. There was a ton of games that came out of Summer Games Fest.
Yes.
And I'm playing all of these Steam demos. And I've got a bunch of games to play. And I'm like, I'm literally at a loss for what to play.
Yeah.
Like I want to play a million things. And I don't even have time to play one thing as much as I want to play it.
Oh, baby. Let's do this. Tournament bracket, wheel, Royal Rumble. How you want to handle this, Donnie? Like, what
Spin the wheel.
We got ways.
Well, to be honest with you, I threw my hands up and I just started playing Doom. I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to play Doom. Because I really love Doom, and not just Doom, but these sorts of games, right? Like these crunchy, kick-ass, bust the door down type of shooters. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna play Doom. Like we don't have E-Day yet, so this is the best I can get, right? Plus, coming off of the Xbox showcase with that fucking shield, I was feeling it. I wanted to play Doom, which actually put a pause in this tangent.
Okay,
I got a bone to pick with Delvin, which I forgot about.
Me too.
Now I just remember. I had a bone to pick with you, sir.
Oh, this is why you brought Sean on to jump me.
Yeah, what the hell's the matter with you?
It's not why I brought him on. I trust it's not to jump you. But this man has recorded back-to-back shows. Back to back. Both Nintendo and PlayStation shows. Where the only thing that he had to say about anything at Summer Games Fest at all was how many of these games at the Xbox show are coming to his PlayStation 5.
Yes.
You said this as a person who has Game Pass and an Xbox. What the fuck is that?
I know that, but this is true. This is true. I will say this, though. The reason I bought an Xbox is literally because of the exclusives. And I love Xbox exclusives. Unlike some people, not you guys, but in general, I love the Xbox exclusive. And the one thing I loved about Xbox from the 360 to, I guess, a little less now, was the fact that their exclusives were so very different than everybody else's on. Whether you look at Gears of War, whether you look at Halo, it kind of just felt very different than what PlayStation was doing. So each system gave me a reason to want that system.
Sure.
Well, I want to say 360 was Mass Effect.
So what made you get the Series X?
Because I wanted more of that.
But what was it? What game was it?
The idea of a new Gears, for one.
Okay.
Because I love Gears. Gears is my favorite franchise.
Yeah.
Of
course.
Hellblade, of course.
Yeah. Was awesome. You finished it yet?
Yeah. Still haven't finished it. People need to stop getting sick in my family.
Of course. No, I get it.
But yeah, it's just the ideal of Xbox. Like even when Xbox One, when people were complaining about all the things, like we're gonna be the entertainment system in your house. I was like, okay, at least you're making yourself different from PlayStation and Nintendo. I was cool with all that. I didn't care. I was like, whatever. That's what you want to do. That's what you do. As long as it's different. Now it feels like, and to Donnie's credit, I think Donnie sold me some dreams.
Don't make this a race thing, Brendan. It's not. I don't see color.
But yeah, I think Donnie sold me some dreams and hopes, because when we were talking all last year about Xbox buying these companies and doing these things, and the ideal of them bringing all these consoles, these classic games that I love back, I was like, I'm all in, baby. Fuck this. Fuck what PlayStation doing. I love Xbox. This is going to be amazing. And I like PlayStation. But it was just the idea of like, it's going to feel different now because Xbox is doing their own thing. And then Xbox was like, not so fast. Just I'm like, oh no. Why you hurting me? And it kind of just sucker punched me because I'm like, damn.
Just because of Sea of Thieves?
Xbox. Yeah, that's one of them. I'm like, I can just play some PlayStation now.
So that's where I wanted to ask you, is if all things were considered, if all things were equal, would you rather just have all the games on your PlayStation?
No, I'd rather have them on multiple consoles. I like the idea of playing. I like the idea of things being different. Like, hey, you have a McDonald's, you have a Burger King.
Yeah.
For a reason. Some days I feel like eating at Burger King. Some days I feel like eating at McDonald's.
Okay.
Competition kind of breeds creativity, and I think when Xbox is doing good and when Nintendo is doing good, it makes PlayStation do good and don't do stupid shit like, hey, let's raise our games to $70.
Yeah, let's raise the price of the console. 3 years in, let's make it go up. Well, we're going to come back to this because where I'm going to go is going to come back to this, and that's why Sean is here.
Hi.
So, yeah. Okay. So I'm playing Doom, and I'm having a great time playing Doom. Putting off Paper Mario, like not doing that, not doing anything, like just playing Doom, rip and tear. Father's Day rolls around. I get an advertisement. Many years ago, I supported this documentary getting made called In Search of Darkness. And it was like this horror documentary of like old horror movies that they put together. And this company has made a new documentary called First Person Shooter, the definitive FPS documentary.
Oh.
And I bought it.
Look at that horror document.
They sent it to me on Amazon. It's 4 hours long. I paid $7.99 to watch this 4-hour documentary. And here's how I spent most of my Father's Day. Sitting on my chair watching this documentary about these old, like a lot of older shooter games.
Yep.
So
sounds fantastic.
Yes. The reason that Sean is here is that we've kind of danced in this dance floor on Sweet Hangs multiple times.
Yep.
Because Sean comes from this. This is his shit. He is that mid-90s PC gamer. He knows about this stuff. I don't. So like this is all kind of new to me. And I think I'm finding it because of this like newfound interest in the boomer shooter. Of you guys know, like I love Dusk and Ion Fury and this shit. Like I've been finding this in Warhammer, and I've been doing this for the last couple of years. So like I'm starting to, my interest is peaked into learning more. Like I had a working interest of who John Carmack was and John Romero.
Yeah.
But like I didn't know exactly who they were. John Romero was gone before I ever played Doom. I played Doom on 64.
Yeah.
You know, like it was a long time. I didn't have this experience. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to bring to the show is I wanted to talk about this documentary and like the things that it made me think and where it kind of went, because I watched 4 hours of this documentary and it covered so many games that I had never heard of before.
Oh, okay.
I wrote down notes, things like Battlezone and Colony and Dangerous Dave. Do you guys remember these? Did you I look right at you, Delvin. Did you play these things? Yeah, the arcade game, you little tank and move it around like a periscope and shit.
I'm trying to picture a first-person shooter. Yeah, I know that game.
Yeah,
definitely.
So like,
the
big takeaway was like, there's this through line that this documentary has of how this genre of game has really pushed video games forward.
Yeah,
like honestly, like the entire industry. I dare say, maybe others would take opposition to that. Right? There's obviously the Nintendo thing, but like. There is this push that like we move the tech forward
Yes.
with an experimental game, and then like we perfect that tech with another game, and that becomes the standard. And then we move it forward with an experiment, and then we perfect that with another game. So I'm watching this thing, and I'm getting kind of an education that I never had.
Yes.
And I don't want this to sound like an epiphany, but like I also like want to own up to the fact that this isn't my time. I didn't grow up in it. I didn't have access to it. So like I don't know. Like I'm naive to what happened. So like for example, I've known about Halo my entire gaming life, more or less. Like Halo came around as I've been there. I've played multiples of them. I've beat multiples of them. I've always claimed I've never been the Halo guy. That said, I had never heard of I had it and I lost it. I'm sorry?
Marathon?
No, not Marathon. This other game I wrote down. It's in the documentary. And of course I lost it like right as I was about to say it.
Daikatana.
Tribes.
Oh, Starsheets Tribes, let's go.
So I'm watching this documentary because it goes in like chronological order. Like you start in like the 70s and 80s and you get going. So me and Jack are sitting there watching this whole thing. We have nothing better to do. And Tribes comes up and I'm like, that's fucking Halo. Like I've seen this before. And
get this. I need to watch this, dude.
And that's like where this like that's like the point I'm trying to make is that you see something like Tribes.
Yes.
And then like that, whether it's that developer or not, like that becomes Halo.
Yeah.
You see something like Wolfenstein, which becomes Doom, which becomes Quake. Like there's this progression that keeps going.
Yes.
And it keeps going all the way through modern day.
Yes.
And they do talk about, for a minute, I thought maybe they didn't have the rights or anything to talk about Call of Duty because they go on and on and on without ever mentioning Call of Duty. And I was like, where in the hell is Call of Duty?
You gotta go.
It does get there. It gets the Medal of Honor, and then it pushes Call of Duty. It's like Call of Duty took all of this and pushed it like cinematically forward.
Totally.
But ultimately, without making this, like the longest thing ever.
No,
I really liked it. And like, ever since I watched it, I've had this itch. I'm like, I wanted to talk to Sean about it. Oof. Two, I wanted to bring some of my thoughts about it to the podcast. Some of the things that I wrote down was I really enjoyed I appreciated there's like this constant thing. So all these developers here, which I learned about so many of them for the first time, almost all of them unanimously talk about how they want to like work on anything except the thing they just did.
Right.
Which is something that like I appreciate today. Yeah. As we have so many studios that are dedicated to a franchise, they just keep making the game and sequel and sequel and sequel. And it feels like a common thing, a common thread today. Mm-hmm. And like this was the case back then. Like in 1992, John Romero's like, I wanted to make anything but Wolfen. Like I wanted to do anything but this.
Right.
And like it's like almost every one of them, because the development process, the crunch, like the amount of work that they're doing, and the idea chasing, that tech chasing, like, nah, I want to do that new thing. I want to do that other thing. I was not surprised, but like I just peaked on how that like that seems to be a constant. So that's never changed, I guess. Like that's been there from the beginning. How incredibly indie video games were in the 90s.
Yeah. Like 5 people made some of these games, man.
And they made it, and like they're talking about how they sold it to people through the mail. Like if you send us a check, we'll mail you a day. I was like, what the fuck? Yep. Some of this stuff is crazy. And yeah, they're making it in their garages and their basements and stuff. This documentary is literally chock full of nostalgia. Yeah, man. There's commercials and old announcements and old pressers, and they really take you into like that experience, like, in just a short few minutes. It's a long documentary, but every game gets its 5 minutes to shine. Yeah. I really appreciated that. Also how fast they would turn around some of these games.
Oh yeah.
We're talking entire sequels coming out in a year or 18 months and to the next thing and the next thing. I talk about Quake and how they had people making content that would never amount to anything because Carmack's just trying to get the engine going and he can't figure it out. And that was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Did they talk about the modding? Like when you talk about the era, like the Wolfenstein era and
Yeah.
Doom era and stuff like that. Did they talk about the heavy modding these games got? Like, because
This is why I started playing the original Doom and started playing Sigil, because I learned about Sigil in this documentary. John Merrill's like, yeah, no, I made my own Doom mod, and like that's in your Switch. Like if you have Doom, you just open it and there's a mods tab and you just install it. It's just there. Yeah, I didn't know that. I wanted to play it. I was like, I want to play what this is. And I looked, it's like, it's just, you could just go play it, just download it. And I'm sure it's on any platform that you have just OG Doom in. But yes, they talked about like, I forget the mods names. They had a bunch of different ones, but like Brutal Doom. And there was another one that like made everything like very fantasy rich. And we're talking about all these different people like creating their own games just out of Doom.
Yeah.
I remember very well people like modding Doom so everyone in the game was like nude, and they would bring it to school and stuff. That was the thing that they had put it the disc in. It was like a lot of things people would just do and have in class, because back in those days, when we go to school, like computer lab, and people would bring their little disc in. They say you're supposed to be playing Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, but people just be popping in their Doom disc or their Wolfenstein disc, and it was always like modded. It was always just modded. It was a little bit different than every version of it. I'm like, this is really interesting.
They highlighted a few mods that they got, like they used to have like an award show for it, like Mod of the Year for Doom, and like the people who create their entire games. And then they talked about how those people became developers. Like they hired those people. They just were like, we loved your work. Come work for us. Like come work for id. That's how they replaced people back then. That's crazy.
Do they have epic mega games in this at all? Or is it more on the id side?
I don't recall
Tim
that.
Sweeney, anything about Unreal Engine?
Yes, there's an entire section of this thing dedicated to Unreal.
So on one of the last Sweet Hangs, I think I was talking about some of the dorkiest stuff I've ever recorded on a podcast, which was like wanting like the engine race to happen again, like the game's engine to have a competition. So Unreal technology versus Quake engine and stuff. Like you just kind of, I feel very validated by everything that you've said so far, because I was trying to express that in a recent episode of Sweet Hangs, where like that was a great time for video games when you had Quake engine versus Unreal Engine, because you'd have the engine and then you'd have like the prototype for that engine being Quake and then Unreal, and then that propelled games forward to a huge degree, to the point where like now how many games are made on Unreal Engine, and how id Soft really has like fallen away from that. And it's essentially because Tim Sweeney's still with Epic and John Carmack is not with it anymore.
Yeah, he left.
That's basically it. But man, like that was such an interesting time, and you could look at a game and go like that was built on Quake, and you could expect it to look and feel a certain way and be smooth, and graphics have like glowing lights and all this other kind of stuff. So it's very gratifying to hear you kind of just celebrate that a little bit, because if you were there, you saw it happening, and now I'm feeling a little less like an old man yelling at the clouds, but maybe still a little bit.
Yeah, and I feel like I should have been there, but like a part of it was access. I never had a computer. I didn't have a computer until like
there though.
The mid 2000s, maybe, when I got a computer, like 2007 or 8, maybe.
Long gone.
I was long gone. You're talking 96. I was 9.
Yeah.
And I was playing Doom on 64. Like I was like, this is awesome. Like I found Turok, which I've still carried forward. But like that was my prism to this, as I've long talked about. My prism to this was Nintendo, but then Xbox.
Yeah.
Like Xbox really brought me to that PC reality of games. That's where I played Elder Scrolls, and it's where I played Unreal Tournament, and it's where that's where I found these sorts of things. I never knew what they were.
That's why
I was on 64 and GameCube until
now you know what I was talking about. That era of Xbox I love. Just the fact that it was just so different than everything else at the time. Like it felt like PC.
And it felt like PC and easier.
They brought PC, so put a pin in this, because that's where I'm going. Like you're getting ahead of me.
I love this.
So I'm not done yet.
Yeah, no, we could talk about tribes more if you want.
Yeah, right. Dude, I'm watching this and I'm learning about, like, I never knew like Commander Keen, and I don't know who
Commander Keen, yes,
Tom Hall is, and I don't know Scott Miller or Carl Hilton by name, and I'm learning about not learning because I was there, but like GoldenEye, right? They're talking about GoldenEye and how they made the hands and how they're doing the thing, and how that becomes like Time Splitters and Crisis, and then like Rise, like Homefront and Rise, Son of Rome, and like that. There's this through line here that even though I wasn't there, I still feel like the echoes. There's like a connection. I'm like, but I know that stuff.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of really having a blast, like absorbing and taking all this in. I learned about Chex Quest. I never knew what the fuck Chex Quest was.
That is.
Chex Quest is a game that was built in Doom about cereal. It was published by General Mills. This is a real fucking thing. You could go down. It's free.
Hell yeah.
So I'm going to play Chex Quest. I was like, I want to play that. They showed this commercial where, based on the mods, Delvin, to bring you back in.
Oh my god.
Based on the mods that Doom got, they made a mod, like a commercial for a mod, where they called it Brutal Chex. And you showed the Chex pouring into a bowl, and it was like saw blades and nails and thumbtacks and shit. And you got people trying to eat it, and they're like, it's so good. It's like, this is such like that time, you know, and I feel like I've gotten old enough to where I can actually start to really reminisce in the nostalgia of the time, even though I was young like that, especially like the later 90s. I was definitely there, and I remember at least that marketing style and that kind of thing.
The indie thing you touched on, I think, is there's a lot there, because this definitely was an indie time. And I think one of the reasons why indies resonate so much now and why these games resonate and I think hold up even to this day is because these were like just ideas that somebody had. And because you could build these games with a small team, it was an idea so still in its purest form, like come to life in video game form. And that was fun. Yeah.
Before it was corporatized and changed and
like what if we did
mass
this?
Appealed and
and then like that what if we did this like just became the game. It wasn't overly complicated. Doom is not a complicated game by any stretch of the imagination, but because that idea is so pure and just in there. I did not so secretly load up Doom on my Switch while you were chatting, and you have to have a Bethesda account to get these add-ons. So I gotta do that. So
but you can connect your Nintendo account. There's a button that says use your Nintendo account, and it just does it automatically. Just do that.
I'll do that.
So ultimately, before I move on to like where I want to take this conversation, I just had a great 4 hours watching this documentary, and coming out of it, I want to play so many things. And some of these things, like I had on my wish list, but like Rise of the Triad is a game that I had on my wish list that I've been wanting to play because it's recommended to me as a boomer shooter. I had no idea of its history or its legacy, right? And then we come back to a tango that Sean and I have danced before.
Do it.
Coming out of this documentary, I need to play Half-Life.
Yeah.
Like that's the big grand thing for me. Like I've never played this game, and I think I need to play it. Like now I think I need to play it because I like so many of these things. I'm like, you're probably going to love this. Like so many people that like all these things that you like love this thing that you've just never done.
Yep.
So where do I start?
I think I've actually told you start with Black Mesa, the sort of like informal that became funded remake. I ended up finishing it after telling you to do that. And so now I would say go back and play the original Half-Life.
Okay.
Just play that. Because I think you like, and this is a very personal recommendation. Like, I'm not sure that I'm broadcasting this to really anybody else. Because some people don't do so great with older games like that. But I think you're going to do great with it. And it's not even that it has.
I play a lot of old games. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you'll do fine with it. And you'll appreciate it for what it is, especially with this documentary in recent memory for you. You can jump in and get an appreciation for like how advanced the AI is, like your enemies, how they shoot and they take cover. And if you're hiding, they'll throw a grenade on one side and be waiting for you on the other side.
They talked about the grenade throwing. There was a whole segment where like, this is the first time somebody threw a grenade at me.
Yeah. And you're like, what the heck? Totally. Like there's sections.
That Tribes, by the way. Sorry. Yeah. You just know how my brain works. I'm firing. No, the Tribes is like the first game that had a dedicated grenade button.
Yes.
Yeah. Before then, you had to switch to the grenade.
Yep. And then
throw the grenade. They were like, no, just throw it.
Yes.
You know,
it's funny. Like I think about that with Apex Legends having a dedicated button to ping, like to communicate with your friends and go like, look over here. Like I thought that was an interesting choice to dedicate it to that. Half-Life is special, especially when you were there playing games like Quake and Quake 2 and Doom. And then all of a sudden there's this promise of Half-Life, which I'm positive was built on like heavily modded, heavily adapted Quake engine or Quake 2 engine. And that was also part of the hype was like, what is this game? What are they going to do with this engine? We thought we've seen like the limits of it, but it was kind of like almost like BioShock did when that was new, like the emergent storytelling that happened. These are the things that were special back then. You'd walk up and you'd have in-game moments and narratives that would just happen. Like you'd walk up and a scientist would start talking to you, and he'd start saying like everything's a disaster, and Gordon Freeman, like, please save us. And then he'd get like scooped up by a monster like through the vent shaft, and that didn't happen before. Like you didn't have these scripted events that happened as you approached different areas. And so there's the AI, the difference in level to level. You'd go from, just swinging your crowbar around to fighting off gigantic boss battles, and there's trams, and all the different locations are so unique that you have to appreciate it. And then there's not really, I mean, they say there was no loading screens, not in the sense of like Doom and Quake. You go from the start of the level to the end of the level. You hit the button on the elevator, and then that's it. Half-Life flows, and you reach it sort of like an invisible barrier at a certain point. Well, it'll say like loading for 2.5 seconds, and then you keep going. So it's just like seamless.
It's a continuous campaign.
Totally, and that was completely unheard of, and you almost never really see it even now. So the documentary, I think, is good for you because you'll have that historical context to go like, wow, these things are next level. They might not blow your hair back now, but like back then, dude, like no loading screens, no end of chapter. You just carry on. Holy crap.
So it hits when you're like, you're walking up to console players being like, this is trash, because you were living in a different world.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, and the graphics is all the things that we cared about, especially like,
of course,
now that we're wiser and older, it can talk to
war
you
never changes. That's never going to end.
It was all about graphic.
Yeah.
With the GoldenEye, like, I mean, the explosions are good, but
they talked about that with Quake. They're talking about the design, and he was like, he's like, Romero is, he's kind of featured throughout the entire documentary, and he's like, if we could do it in Wolfenstein, it couldn't be in Doom. Like that was his whole approach. He's like, if you could make something that you thought was in Wolfenstein, you failed. We want to make something that couldn't be in Wolfenstein. And then when he made Quake, he's like, we want to make something that couldn't be in Doom. So he talks about like in Quake, like he just rises, like he all the walls are bigger, the ceiling's bigger. Let's make the player look up. Let's make lights flash. Like it was really rewarding. I really enjoyed the entire thing. And I think I'm gonna like tap out of the conveyor belt of new releases for a little bit and play a lot of these things I want to play because like I'm feeling the itch. So I think I'm gonna play Half-Life, and I think I'll start with the first one, I guess, the OG, because I have them all.
Half-Life might ruin the rest of them for you, so I don't know if you have other games on the list that are around that.
I want to play Rise of the Triad. I want to play Chex Quest. I want to play a lot of these things.
Unreal, it's got to be
Sin
on the list. Sin thank you for saying like, also a Quake engine game.
Like I want to play Sin. Like I want to experience a lot of these that I haven't. A lot of these I have.
Why Sin? I'm curious because I was going to say that, but I didn't know if anybody's like heard of this game called Sin. What showed up? Was this in the documentary?
I saw the documentary. As I'm going through the documentary, like I have notes of like things I wanted to talk about on the podcast.
Yes.
So I wrote down like games that I was like, that looks cool. I want to play that. Some of them I wrote down like I wrote down Trespasser. That was terrible.
Yeah,
but it was interesting to see like how important that was, like moving forward. But like Sin, I wrote down, I was like, that looks kind of cool. Like I should try that. Funny thing is, I own it. I own the remake, the remaster. I got it.
I didn't even know there's a remaster. I have.
I got it. Like it's just in my library. I've just never played it. So like that's the other thing. A lot of these things I have.
Yeah.
I still have yet to buy Rise of the Triad because I've just been either waiting on a sale or waiting for a time to play it. So like I think now's the time. Like now I want to play it.
Which Turok was it? Was it Turok 3 that you were talking
about
recently? I've played them all.
Yeah.
And it's just like corny.
That's the new one.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very schlocky
Sin.
Compared to the other two.
Totally. Sin is like nasty, raunchy, ridiculous, over the top, bad dialogue.
Right down my alley.
Action. Yeah. You're gonna.
I love it. At least the guy I always liked Duke. Yeah, so that's totally. I always liked Duke. I love the Bulletstorm Duke on Switch. I've always loved Duke Nukem. I like Duke Nukem 3D. Everybody. I always liked it. But the funny thing was when like the era of the Duke, I was like that 12-year-old preteen who thought that was really edgy and cool. And I was telling those stories to Jack because we're watching this documentary. I was like, this was the shit when I was your age. Yes. He's like, real cool, Dad.
I know.
Making me seem so old.
No.
I was like, you don't understand. Like, we were treated with such kid gloves back then from like a media and an entertainment, you know. It was like everything was Barney and Blue's Clues, you know. And it's like to find stuff like that, to find, you know, like Toonami or Adult Swim or South Park, Beavis and Butthead, like that stuff
Beavis
was
and
cool
Butthead.
back then, you know. Like, so Duke was that to me, like in the video game, that was Duke Nukem. So I had a blast. Doing this, and I think this is what I wanted to do, and that's ultimately why I wanted to bring you here. I also want to talk about like where this is having me, what this documentary had me thinking about Xbox. And I don't want it to go into like a giant philosophical thing. I've done a few of these kind of diatribes on Xbox recently. But I got to tell you, I think this documentary like kind of shifted my logic here. I'm watching all of these franchises and these like pillars of gaming. Really, he's Doom and Quake and Call of Duty and like these entertainment franchises.
Yep.
And there's an entire thing in here about Xbox. Seamus Blackley's in the documentary. It's not anything I think is new, especially if you've watched like Power On or if you were there. Like, you know, these are all things we've talked about before. Talk about, you know, Bill Gates and the direct Xbox and bringing Windows to the living room and all that. So this is kind of retreaded territory, but I'm sitting there watching it, and they're talking about Halo, and they're talking about, you know, finish the fight and Halo 3 and how important it was, and Joe Staten is there and he's talking about all this, and I'm just like, that feels so long ago.
Distant and detached.
Halo should be able to reach as many gamers as possible. Like, I kind of feel like Halo, it doesn't make sense to have Halo like exclusive to a console, which is something I don't think I would have said like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, no, that's the thing you use to sell the box, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, no. Kind of like Doom. I've always thought Doom should be everywhere because it always has been. And I feel like that'd be a shift for Halo. When they started talking about remaking Halo for PlayStation, I was like, what are we even doing anymore? And now, like, I'm wondering if maybe I'm just late to that shift, or I don't know, early. I don't know what they're thinking, but if that's true, and we have no idea, that could just be a rumor and be not true at all. But if like that sort of thing is true, like I think I'm actually starting to shift to that like way of thinking. I'm like, this is one. It doesn't make a lot of sense because of how much money you have to put into and invest into making a Halo game. But two, I want Halo to be back to like where it used to be. And I don't think you get there by maintaining the status quo.
Something has to change. I think is your point. Call of Duty, I think, has been able to dominate. It has this amazing mix of frequency and just how it's tapping into the gamers, which I think that's the part that people generally identify with. But I think we underappreciate the fact that those games come out every single year. And so why that's important is it always gives people a chance to engage with Call of Duty. There's always something new to talk about. And also, if one doesn't hit, you got another one the next year.
There's another one coming.
With Halo, when one doesn't hit, you're waiting to the next generation to get there. Right? So it's a huge, like if you miss,
or if you miss
you're
back to
flying
back
off into space. Then you're talking generations of
you've missed an entire person.
Totally. Yeah.
So I'm watching this and I'm thinking that about Halo. And it gets me thinking about them all together. You know, Seamus is talking about things he said before, but like they landed differently for me now. I watched the Power On and I took it in stride. The story is as old as time, but I'll regurgitate it for anybody who doesn't know. Bill Gates walks into a boardroom with a giant amount of Microsoft executives. You got Seamus Blackley and the Xbox team there, and he slams the shit on the paper or on the table, talking about how it's an embarrassment that they're about to make a console, the Xbox, that doesn't run Windows. That was the whole point. The whole point was to bring Windows to the living room, to give you an alternative to the home PC with a gaming console. And they didn't do that. They did bring PC gaming to the living room. They brought the games, they brought the Ethernet port, they brought the hard drive. I think we've seen Xbox's role in that space expand. Like they've taken that and they've brought like accounts, and they brought digital downloads, and they brought live services and like Game Pass. Like they've done this. They've innovated, I think, the gaming space. That hasn't returned though market share. I don't think you can question their impact. Their innovation is there. It's clear. It's evident. Everybody else has copied it. But that hasn't won the market share. So now, based on all the rumors and the conjecture and some of the quotes that we have, I'm warming up to the idea that I think they need to actually like make do on the original promise. I think they need to bring Windows to console, like to the living room. This idea of taking a Steam Deck page, like a page out of the Steam OS, and them making a PC that has an Xbox front end on it that makes it very easy for people to use, but gives you the flexibility that the PC provides, would really solve a lot of their problems. Things like, games that aren't there on Xbox suddenly would be there because of PC. Right. You'd have the option to run emulators and ROMs, even PlayStation games. Like, I started, because of this document, in like the different way. I don't know why it hit me differently. Maybe it's just a different time and place. It could just be as simple as that. But in all the things we've talked about Xbox in the past year, and then I hear the story again and I go, I actually think I'm ready to shift. And I don't know if that's cope or just a change in logic. I don't know what it is, but like, I think I'm there. I think the next Xbox actually should just be a PC that they make like work well for TVs.
And wouldn't that actually differentiate it enough from PlayStation?
That was exactly the next point. Is I was going to go right back to Delvin's point. I have been saying for a long time, you can't beat them at this, so be different. And we think they're going to be different with a handheld or something. This is different.
Yeah.
And this is different in a way that I don't know how fast others would copy. I don't know if PlayStation wants to give you this sort of freedom and competition within their own ecosystem.
Well, everybody says, Microsoft isn't a hardware company. They're a software and services. And I feel like we skipped over the software part.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so like, what is that UI? It's funny because the last time, this is going to make anybody who was in there for the Xbox One generation kind of like shudder a little bit, because you had Windows 8 was the Xbox, Xbox One UI. And it's like, maybe we don't want all these things here. But I think Windows itself is in a different place now. And ultimately, what you're talking about is flexibility here. So everybody's talking about Xbox has got to go, games have got to like land on other consoles and platforms. That's one way. What I love about this conversation is it's making me think for the first time, like, what would it look like if what we typically think of as a closed ecosystem box, being the console, if it was more open-ended? Yeah.
If I had all the flexibility, think about it. They launch new consoles, and you've got PlayStation doing the same thing PlayStation does, which is great, and their people love it. But then you've got an Xbox, and it's like, we've got some games. Some of them are exclusive. Some of them aren't. Some of them are on PlayStation. Maybe all of them are on PlayStation. Who cares? But like over here, you could buy games on Steam or Epic, or you could play Game Boy games or Wii games, or you can install Dolphin on this mother. Like, you can really get into this shit and do as far as you want.
Like, they leave it to everybody else to do that.
Emulation station. Yeah. You can run this program and set up 1,000 ROMs on this box and play it until your heart's content.
Yeah.
Like, it is that Steam Deck. That's what the Steam Deck is. It's that design, that concept just applied to the home console.
Yeah.
You know what? If that was something they would do, I'd be all for it. Like,
I think I would too. That's where I'm going. Like, I started to think like that, and I was like, dude, that sounds exciting, actually. That sounds really cool. And I'm sure this is a part of it. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm sure this is a part of it. I'm playing most of my games on PC these days.
Yeah.
So that might be me taking this thing I like and applying it to other people. I don't know if other people think that's exciting, but to me, I'm like, that is actually kind of exciting and poetic. It would be them kind of fulfilling the original like destiny of this box. Like, we have actually literally brought Windows to the living room.
Windows seems, it's funny because it has me like thinking philosophically, what is Windows itself? Like, I don't know how much like Windows I want to see. It's like, what does Windows actually allow you to do? And we've had Windows for so long that like, I don't think anybody could really articulate what that is. But ultimately, I think that's what you're talking about is there's compatibility with various applications is kind of the nerdy way of saying what I think you're getting at here.
And I think it makes sense, especially if they're going to go like third party with their software, with their games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you just make a hardware offering that is different. And like, I would buy that.
I think the compatibility is the thing that's going to jump out to me in this conversation is like, if a game is made for PC, like, why wouldn't it work on an Xbox. It just is a PC configured in a particular way, which, by the way, like there are billions of different configurations for PC games that are made for PC. Like, why wouldn't that just work? Like I think that's maybe the piece that we haven't really discussed yet.
Got me thinking, like every time we get one of these handhelds, there's an army of YouTubers that show how to set every one of them up with all these different things and all these different tests. And I was like, why don't we have that on console?
Totally.
Why wouldn't we? And like they could do this, and I would be interested to see if others would follow, because this is a very anti-Nintendo PlayStation thing to do.
Yeah.
But like,
to Donnie's credit,
this is a space where they could innovate to where maybe you don't have a choice anymore. Like if they open that door, there may be no going back.
Mm-hmm.
But
sorry,
to Donnie's credit, that's one of the reasons why I got my Steam Deck, because it's a simplistic way to play PC games. Like I can just pop that bad boy on, go on the Steam store, and just pick any PC game I want to pick and play it, and buy it and play it. And it opens up so many options for me. And even the idea of like, hey, I can still play Xbox games on it. It's really cool to me. And the idea of like having a desktop PC or even a laptop that does that for Xbox is really intriguing.
When it gets away from like something that just happened at the Nintendo Direct yesterday, we have Marvel versus Capcom.
It's our first news story
coming to PC. Is it PC? The PlayStation and Nintendo for sure.
Everywhere but the Xbox.
So like you got to get out of that. So if it's on PC, then it is on Xbox. It's one fewer platform to have to develop it for. Like open up that system so that it seems so obvious now when you put it like this. It really seems obvious, like that this has to be the next. This is like when Nintendo before the NX was announced, they're like, it's got to be a hybrid thing. Like it seemed like we were waiting for the next Nintendo console to be what it actually ended up being.
Tech came, the Wii U, and then they perfected it.
Yeah.
Right.
And which, by the way, when does that ever happen? Like what we think Nintendo is going to do and they actually do it? Like that was the Switch. People forget.
That's why we're all waiting with a bated breath about the Switch 2.
Totally.
We think we know, but we don't.
I know, right?
You'll never let go of that 5% chance that they hit you with some shit you're not expecting.
It's a 3D Switch. You just have no glasses 3D on the screen.
So anyway, in short, 45 minutes into the show, which is why I asked you guys to go before me. That's kind of what I was thinking. This is the fun weekend I had, and this is kind of where my head is. What's the demo?
It's a newer game, but it honors older, maybe early 2000s first.
You're gonna say Fallen Aces?
It's called Tree Pang.
Oh yeah, no, I've got that on my wish list. Yeah, I've seen that.
I played that demo, and dude, that demo is it's worth the price of admission, which is obviously free.
I was gonna buy the game. I wasn't gonna wait.
Check out the demo. Well, I don't know how much the game is, so I can't really recommend it. But I played the demo, which is a meaty mission, but then there has a basically a horde mode. It's a combat simulator. You choose the different rooms that you're in, and then it's horde, just 20 waves of enemies coming at you. And it's got bullet time, like it's like Fear back in the day, Fear and Fear 2, Fear 3.
Fear is in the documentary, and I was like, man, I miss Fear. Fear was great.
Fear's
really I'm telling you, you should watch the documentary. It's a good documentary.
Is Black in there? Black was on PS2, Xbox.
I think so. I know the game, but I don't think it was in the documentary.
Yeah, golly, man.
I've got a bunch. Like they talked about Tribes, Halo, Turok, Perfect Dark, Prey, Fear, Call of Duty. They did do Dusk and Ion Fury. And by the way, if nobody's played Ion Fury, get it on your Switch and play Ion. If any of these games meant anything to you, play Ion Fury. It's amazing. Counter-Strike, Deus Ex, Trespasser, Sin and Half-Life, Rainbow Six, 007, Perfect Dark, Shadow Warrior, Marathon, System Shock, Rise of the Triad. Super Noah's Ark. Do you guys know what that is? Because I have to play it. Watch it. I was like, I have to play this game.
Super Noah's Ark. No way.
Wolfenstein 3D, Castle Wolfenstein, which I've never played. Portals, Commander Keen, Catacombs, Dangerous Dave, Colony, and Battlezone were the notable ones those are just the ones I wrote down. There's many more in the documentary.
Commander Keen, we used to get. There's a friend of my dad's who lived just around a couple houses down the block, and we his name was Grant. Shout out to Grant. He was just this adult nerd that lived around the corner.
Love it.
Dad would just go see Grant. He's got something for you, and he would make copies of the Commander Keen discs for us. So we would take them home.
So I'm sure you do, because you've played it, but you know the story behind that?
I don't think I do.
So they talk about Commander Keen and where it came from. And the whole point of that was them wanting to try and create a Mario game for PC.
Totally. Yeah.
They could never get
platformer on PC.
Like the Mario physics right. Like they were like, the physics for Mario are perfect.
Yep.
Like, why can't we duplicate it on PC? Like they struggled with this for years.
Yeah.
And then eventually they did. And that became Commander Keen, and it was a massive success for them. That's why they made so many of them.
Yeah, I have the Commander Keen complete pack on GOG, actually.
I may have to get that. I may have to get that. Let me write it down. Commander, because I came away, I was like, I want to play this. See, like Sin, Commander Keen, Noah's Ark, Chex Mix. Like I want to play these fucking games. Like these look like fun.
Oh, dude, we used to play it all. I can remember, like, it's so nostalgic for me. I can imagine and remember the place where our family computer was and what the carpet felt like, and we'd play because it's so dark here, so many months and of the year. The glow of the CRT computer monitor, just playing.
We all know that feeling, or at least the old of us do. I remember that feeling.
PC gaming, you know this now, like
that warmth off the TV.
Yes, like you're so
I know
close
that
to the
feeling.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Serious Sam, I can't see in the chest as
Sam.
Yeah,
I've played Serious Sam. I have played
Fortune
Serious
came
Sam.
later, where Soldier Fortune was one of the first on PC where I think Half-Life did this as well, but Soldier Fortune had like body damage. You know, they talk about like collapsible and destructible environments. Soldier Fortune had destructible enemies. You shot the guy in the gut and his intestines would spill out.
That's
you shot him in
awesome.
the kneecap and his leg would blow off. Like stuff like that. Just like, holy crap, dude.
I really feel like this renaissance of the boomer shooter. And honestly, I shout out TPR. He got me in the New Blood thing a few years ago. He was like, Donnie, do you have any idea what these games are? Because I think they're right down your alley. And I started playing them, and I was like, you are right. They are right down. Like, this is squarely where I want to game. And I've played everything that they've done since, including their newest release, Fallen Aces, which just released. I've played the first chapter. It's releasing episodically. You can buy the game right now. It's $9 they're selling this game for. And it's awesome. It's so much fun.
Game.
It really and it's more than just like a run and gun shooter. Like it's more, I would say, like immersive sim. It's not quite that far, but like back in the day, it's what you would have thought of as immersive sim, because it's a lot of like, one, there's a lot of melee combat. It's not just shooting, but two, like everything in the environment can be used as a weapon. It's a lot of like finding keys and secret doors and platforming and trying to figure out how to get over there and stuff. That's just all my shit. Like I love everything.
Yes.
And New Blood is very featured in this documentary because they're like the new version of these guys. This is the next generation, is New Blood, and what they're fucking doing over there.
Yeah.
So I love seeing that throughout too. I saw this documentary was being made because I do the In Search of Darkness thing. They sent it to me. They're like, hey, do you want to support us? And I was like, yeah, I already did one. I didn't think it was gonna be anything. Consider me blown away. Actually, now that it's post-release, I've watched it. I'm like, I should have been there early. I didn't give you guys the credit you deserve.
Where did you rent it from or whatever? Like,
Amazon Prime.
Is Amazon Prime?
You can buy it directly from the website. They have physical copies or digital, but it's on Prime. You can buy the documentary. I think I paid $7.99 US. So maybe 10 Canadian, 12 Canadian, something like that.
Yeah, like $50.
It's like 5,000 Canadian. Like
it's a mortgage.
So anyway, an hour in.
I love it. I'm so happy you watched this. And
that's why I wanted you to be here. I was like, I really want you to come. I need to talk to you about something.
Yes. Oh, I love it so much. Yeah. And
actually,
there's probably a 4-hour documentary you'd be made in and around Half-Life. All the stuff
dude,
that came. Yeah.
Sean, from this documentary, I have found other documentaries that I've fallen down the rabbit hole of. Chex Quest and Romero, and that's what I've been doing. I've been watching all these things on YouTube.
The Counter-Strike stuff, the Team Fortress stuff, the Portal stuff, like Half-Life was like this Inception, even like this.
All of those games are in the documentary, by the way.
Totally. Which and it's just like this flow that goes into Half-Life, and then Half-Life becomes its own thing. And the same thing happened with Unreal. Like all that stuff led up to the Unreal Engine, and then Unreal did its own thing, and like which became Gears of War, which ultimately I think it was supposed to be called Unreal something. Unreal Battleground or something like that. Like it was going to continue the Unreal Tournament and all this stuff. It was because it was supposed to showcase the Unreal 3 engine.
Yeah, which I do remember. I was there for that.
Oh, I love it so
much. The Halo stuff in this documentary is really good. I would recommend it to that for any Halo fan alone. They really talked about like how Microsoft swooped up and picked that thing up before it was anything.
Wasn't it? Was
They were
supposed
like
to be on Mac.
They were like, yeah, they were making a game. They're like, so we've got this game over here that we're working on, and like we're running out of money. We're about to go out of business, like Bungie.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's not that great, but we have a programmer but he's like, we have this programmer that's figured out like this car thing, and we think this car thing is going to be really cool.
Yeah, the Warthog.
Like, holy shit, it becomes Halo, and it's like its own thing, and Bungie goes and does Bungie things.
Wasn't it like they looked at Halo and they thought it was okay, but they're like, well, we're really gonna lead with Oddworld. We're gonna go with the like that's the thing. Like obviously hindsight is 2020, but I just don't understand how you look at.
Well, they did the same thing with GTA later, but yeah. So
how do you do that? How?
Yeah.
Because it's not like GoldenEye wasn't a thing already on 64. So at the very
I feel
least,
like going back to our PC Xbox thing, I really feel like that's a solution that that company could really wrap their whole arms around,
Yeah, totally.
And like really lean into it and be like, look at the crazy shit that we can do with this thing.
I just think it's like it's back compat to the max. Like if people got excited about 360 backwards compatibility, it's like, what if you had Windows compatibility, Windows 95 compatibility on
I wonder,
Xbox?
They have a whole dedicated team to this. I wonder if maybe there's something to that. Maybe they're trying to bring back some stuff or bring some stuff forward.
I mean, roll this clip if it happens, because there's nobody talking about this kind of stuff.
So I've been kind of on this thing where I was like, maybe they need to go third party, or maybe they need to do it in like this documentary, like really kind of squarely. It was this plus the Halo thing. I was like, I kind of feel like this is their niche. This is where they need to be.
Yep.
I don't know if they're going to go there, but like this is something I think gamers can get behind. And I would love it if like, I don't want the console thing to go away, but like, I kind of feel like there should be a console equivalent to this in the space. Mm-hmm. We should have at least one person doing this while the others are doing that.
The Xbox comes with a keyboard and mouse.
It's a great compliment. It really is.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have to continue on with the show. Have either of you guys played anything or anything else you want to talk about before I just start talking about news? I've been talking a lot, so I'm trying to get you guys to talk more.
I'm good.
Trepang.
I will keep talking. During the direct yesterday, Capcom unveiled the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Notable in its release is that it's coming to everything except an Xbox. Windows Central reports that this is missing in action due to Capcom's MT framework engine, which is multi-threading. In the report, they state that Capcom has no pipeline to bring older MT framework titles to modern Xbox consoles. MT framework is a decades-old Capcom game engine. I want to talk about this, but the reason this is really, I think, a story. One, Marvel vs. Capcom is iconic, and people are going to wonder why they can't play it. Two, this is a growing trend on the Xbox console recently that like the other consoles don't really have. We've had Wukong, which is like just completely bypassing it. We've had other things that are missing it. We have the Lego Horizon thing, which is missing it for probably completely different reasons. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing that I have about the excuse here, and clearly I'm not a developer and I barely know what maybe I'm talking about in the software space. The interesting thing here is they're like, we don't have a way to bring MT framework games to Xbox. That strikes me as odd because they have published MT framework games on Xbox One. So just make an Xbox One copy of it and publish that.
Right.
Maybe there's some Xbox development kit thing that I don't know about. I don't know. But it's interesting to see the media go, Xbox, you should help them with this. And I'm like, this really feels like a Capcom problem.
Yeah.
Like this is really not Xbox's problem to solve. This is a Capcom problem. Additionally, Switch is a completely different architecture. So like clearly they have the ability to do it. I think they're just choosing not to, probably because they don't think they'll sell very much over there.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're waiting on a Game Pass check. I don't know, but like I feel like there's more to the story than, oh, this is an app that needs multi-threading. I know what multi-threading is. I know some software app development stuff. That is a thing when it comes to compatibility. It's a thing software developers can program around. It's a common thing. You've got single threading, multi-threading. They don't really talk to each other. You have to account for both, and sometimes you have to make different versions to make. I think if they wanted to fucking put Marvel versus Capcom on Series X, they could. It's not that big of a deal. But it seems like maybe they don't think it'll sell, or maybe they're holding out for something else. I don't know. Any thoughts on that? It is a problem if you're an Xbox gamer. It's like not something you want to continue to see notable games just bypassing the product.
Yeah, it's not a good look at all. But like, I don't even know how to address it, Donnie. Like,
yeah, I don't think we have all the information. Is really the point I was making.
Well, and to a certain point, whatever the reason is, almost doesn't even matter. The result is that it's just not there, and that's
the result
is
like. Yet here's another thing you wouldn't have exactly. Yeah.
And I would love to play it there. I played Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on Dreamcast, of all things.
Yeah. These are arcade games, these are Super Nintendo games, these are N64. Like we've played these on everything.
And do we not have like a Street Fighter collection on Xbox? Do we not have that on Xbox over there? Like I feel like they would sit side by side together.
People are like, they can't port this, and almost in the article, I want to say it was either this article or a tweet reaction to the article I saw. Somebody was like, "This is why the game is a PS4 version instead of a PS5 version." I'm like, then why doesn't it apply to Xbox One?
Right. Yeah.
If you look up the Capcom MT engine, which you can on Wikipedia, you will get a list of every game that's ever been made there, dating back to Dead or Alive back in 2005.
Yeah.
There are 50 Xbox games on that list. So that like them being like they can't do it. I'm like, that doesn't add up.
Agreed.
Somebody at Windows Central should dig harder, try harder. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, this is where, the previous conversation comes to light again. If it works on PC, then it's just like the Xbox ecosystem should speak that language, whatever that means.
You now know where my headspace has been for the last like 4 or 5 days. Like seeing this and where I was when I was watching, and I'm like, this just stop doing this.
Yeah.
Just make it a PC. Fucking put that on there. Have your own storefront if you want. Like present that to people, make it very upfront, but just make it a PC and let people do what they want. And then this all goes away and it's not a problem anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that was a huge thing for Nintendo with the Switch. Like people forget how challenging it was for third parties to develop games for the Wii U and for the Wii as well, but it was popular. And when the Wii U happened, it's like, well, this is a pain in the butt, so we're just not going to make games for it. So we were all complaining about third-party support in the Wii U era. People totally forget about this. Even the output from Nintendo,
our third-party support
enough.
Was Twisted Sisters and Dust and Elysian Tale, and it was indies.
Maybe.
Because nobody else wanted to do anything else.
Totally.
Because there was the second screen you had to account for. It was also different architecture than what the consoles were at the time.
Do you remember there was like the January reveal of the Switch, and they're like, look at all this third-party support we had, and they had all those publishers like
I remember your stream. You were not happy. I remember.
Dude, well, I'm like, they're like, buy our new Nintendo, and we know you guys didn't like the Wii U, and here's 1, 2.
I think
Switch.
it was in Bobby's DMs. I was like, you need to get your co-hosts together.
I was so mad, dude.
Because I was like, fucking Suda was there. He needs to get his shit together. It was awesome.
No, that reveal did not do it for me. I stand by because look, you gotta the Wii U. I'm like, I wanted Nintendo to be great, and I didn't get a sense from. I wanted them to make Nintendo great again. I didn't get a sense from that, and they did, of course, obviously. The Nintendo faithful back then. This is like a history lesson. Like you guys were all, we'll buy whatever. Like Bobby was in the fact that they just like announced it. Like I'm already, and I'm like, so that was my frustration with him.
I'm about to buy a new Switch, Sean.
Yeah. I'm like you were in. It didn't matter what they showed.
They've got us
in. So like, what are we even talking about right now?
They really do. I give them. I've owned up to it a bunch. I used to call it like privilege to like use like a zeitgeist word. Literally, Nintendo could show up and be like Zelda, and I'm like, "Fucking, here's the money, man!" Like, it's all. That's really all that matters.
I can't tell you how hype I was when they were like on the Wii U. Here's Mass Effect. I'm like, yes. I'm like,
really?
Like 4 copies.
I bought that, and I was like, this. Yeah. Some of those games were good. I stand by. It's the best way to play Batman and Deus Ex. Deus Ex on the Wii U was the shit.
That's awesome.
That game was awesome. And if you've never played it on the Wii U, you owe it to yourself to give it a try because the second screen experience was dope. But Mass Effect wasn't it.
Dude, when Rayman Legends went multi-platform, it was the end.
Yeah.
Rayman
Legends was pretty early on
exclusive. Too. Yeah. Like, I guess
Zombie U was the shit
101.
I love Zombie U. Yeah, Wonderful 101 I never understood. I never liked that game.
No, that's what I thought was happening with the Switch. I'm like,
we're gonna argue with Days here. I don't know if he's being sarcastic, but he says Jim Ryan is right. I assume he means that Jim Ryan, he said long ago that nobody wants to play these old ass games, more or less. And they're talking about believing generations of backwards compatibility. He's like, nobody wants to play these old games. Dude, no. The Marvel vs. Capcom collection is going to sell.
Yeah.
People are going to buy that. This is still a very prominent fighting game. People love those games.
And isn't there like a stat out there now that it's like a huge percentage of like a huge majority, 60-65% of gamers are playing games that are more than a year and a half, 2 years old? Like, sure. This is crazy because
half of Nintendo's entire like positive announcements yesterday were literally just ROMs. They're like, we're adding ROMs to Switch. We were all like, yes. They're like, Perfect Dark is back.
Yeah,
completely bypassing the fact you can play a better version of that game for years now. Totally. It's right there. Xbox. And they're like, people are stoked that you could play it. You can play it on your Switch, right?
I didn't realize I know you guys covered this on Shaq, but I didn't realize that when they showed us that Nintendo 64 controller with the mature 17 plus under it, that this is a separate app.
It's a completely different app for 2 games.
For 2 games, for Turok and for Perfect Dark, you have to download a whole Nintendo other app.
Shit.
I know. Like, of course you don't want to get those ones mixed in with the rest of
the kids. You got to protect the kids from Turok.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
The worst version of Turok, no less. Like,
oh man.
Play the Night Dive version of Turok. Do not play the actual N64 ROM of Turok. I can see it now. Shaq listeners are gonna play it and be like, what the fuck's Donnie going on about? Okay. So the PlayStation Portal gets an update today where they're finally going to make it to where you can connect to like public Wi-Fi's. So before today, if you're at a hotel or Starbucks and you click the Wi-Fi and it tells you to like, it prompts you to like fill out a page or press the button in it, you couldn't do that on the Portal. Yeah. Now you can. Cool. So you can do that. Also, they've added some visual feedback to the touchscreen area, so you can know when you're touching them and when you're not. So, which is very nice. The Portal's the Portal's taken off. Like, I think people really like this thing.
I've been a believer since they announced it. I thought it looked really cool. I mean, sorry, let me clarify. I think it looks stupid. Like the
I've always thought it looked dumb as hell.
Looks stupid, but functionally, like the price point was right. I think that's a really cool.
That makes 2 of us. Since day one, when everybody was hating on this thing, I was like, it's ugly as hell, and I think it's going to sell gangbusters.
Totally. Yeah.
And it has.
Like, I got people in the NCAA Reddit that have bought one of just for NCAA football. Absolutely. They're like, you mean I can play NCAA football from the office? I'm in. They're literally buying it just for that. They pay $200 to have a tablet for NCAA football. Mm-hmm. See, that's why the Switch has got to get EA on board. Like, you've got to get that shit over to Switch too. You got people out here buying Portals for this shit. Mm-hmm. Some headlines. I'll try to speed fire these unless you want me to stop and talk about any. GTA Trilogy via Netflix has been downloaded 30 million times. Sorry.
30. That would be a headline.
Right? Embrace or close Pieces Interactive. That is the Alone in the Dark dev.
That sucks.
Delvin. They had all of your support.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're the only one. Like, it was just you, though. Sea of Thieves topped the PlayStation 5 download charts in both America and Europe last month.
Yep.
That's kind of huge.
Kind of huge. Maybe there's a new narrative that can be spun about like all the times that people would say Xbox has no games, Xbox has no games that I care about. They make all these stuff that
when do the Xbox games show up to PlayStation?
And then the games show up on your console, and it's like, actually, they do make games that you care about. Actually, they are good games.
More than Grand Theft Auto, more than Call of Duty, more than Fortnite. Like, literally the number one spot. More than Helldivers.
Yep.
Last month. That's a big deal.
This is my newest soapbox, Donnie. Like, these narratives that are spun by people who don't play the games. I hate it. I hate it so much. This disproves it 100%. You play the game.
Faith takes. Yeah. I get you.
Totally.
Saber Interactive has announced A Quiet Place Road Ahead. Did you guys see that trailer?
Yeah, surprising. When was the last time we got a movie tie-in with a game tie-in so close together? It's like the olden days, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Little Run Games showcases tomorrow. You can expect the Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition to be there. So Ubisoft's announcing. I'm wondering if this becomes like if they announce this and then we just never hear about Beyond Good and Evil 2 ever again. right? That's it.
Yep.
So it looks like tomorrow, I don't know if this is going to be like, I would imagine this is a shadow drop. It's been rated, but who knows? Maybe they'll hold on to it, or maybe it's not ready yet. But I think this is coming to everything. So like Switch, Xbox, you can just buy and download Beyond Good and Evil. They've also taken down the old version of Beyond Good and Evil on like PC storefronts.
Oh, you love that.
So yeah, get ready if there's a new version coming.
Yeah.
Blue Point Games have reiterated that they're working on an original game. I don't know why this is a headline. I don't know if there's rumors that they're making Bloodborne or a port or something, but like this is everywhere today. Everywhere today is Blue Point going, no, we're making an original game.
Yeah, there was rumors of a remake. It wasn't Bloodborne. I feel like it was something else. But yeah, it seems necessary that they would want to reiterate that.
Yeah. Todd Howard said Fallout 1 and 2 are not getting remade. He said the focus is to keep their old games available as they work on new content for new games.
That's a bummer.
That puts any of those rumors to rest.
1 and 2. Yeah, I don't know if I was ever expecting 1 and 2 to be remade, although I thought now they mention it, that would be great.
New Vegas and 3 and stuff, I think.
Yeah, did he put those to rest? That
nope.
3 in New Vegas are
just
not
these two.
Yeah, 1 and 2. I mean, they're obviously completely different games, and they don't have the same connection to them. Like he would not consider those his babies, but Fallout 3 for sure. He'd be very close to that. So if he's the one making the choices, I imagine he would choose 3 first. But if there's other influence, then maybe that's where New Vegas would come in. But he doesn't adore New Vegas like he would Fallout 3 or 1 or 2. Yeah, like that makes sense where his focus is.
Sony's making a second Uncharted movie. Tom Holland will come back.
Did we not know that?
I didn't know that. My interesting thing about this is, have you both seen it?
Yep.
You both have seen the Uncharted movie.
Yeah.
I hated the first one.
You hated it?
I did not like it at all.
I thought it was good. I mean, I thought it was okay. Like I didn't love it, but I was like, this is an Uncharted movie. I thought the ending was really out there. I was like, they were literally flying this boat and shit. Like that was a bit too much for me, a bit too Hollywood, but like that's what you come to expect.
Yeah.
The thing that I was interested in is the first movie was like an amalgamation of the Uncharted franchise.
Yeah.
So what do you do in a sequel?
Mm-hmm.
An amalgamation of the Uncharted franchise.
So this is what I'm scared of. This is what I've always brought up with The Last of Us and all these.
Got introduced still.
The thing that I was afraid of with all of these, we're making universes out of video game franchises. Is this new movie a new tell in Uncharted, and does that become the next Uncharted game? That's what I don't want to have happen. I don't want that to become the thing that's steering the cart.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want our franchises to turn into movie tie-in games.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think it'll be that. I think it'll be a mix of, because I think the first one was a mix of like 1 and 4 for some reason.
That's fair.
Like
yeah.
It'll be it was like a mix of all the movies. So they'll just do another mix of all the movies together again and make another trash movie. I hated it.
Well, I'll watch it. I liked it. This is where we disagree. I liked it. I'm never going to tell you it was great or anything, but I liked it. It was a fun movie.
I did. Fun. I will say this. It's fun in the way that Venom is fun.
I haven't seen fun. I mean, I haven't seen Venom. But I would tell you that, like, I watched a lot of the MCU movies that I thought were worse than Uncharted, for sure. Like half.
I'm trying to think, like, what part of 4 is in the movie? What are you talking about?
Like the whole pirate ship and the pirate treasure and the sword fight. Yeah, it was very Uncharted 4.
Hey.
There's set piece they use from 4 in the movie.
Yeah.
Not
that was very 4.
Plot lines. Well, I guess it is a plot line. I don't want to spoil the movie.
You can't do a prequel.
It's so funny. It's so funny what comes to mind. Well, like it's like the word webbing exercise. Like to me, it's like his strained relationship with Elena was 4. Like that's what it was. Him, like, moving on.
Fair. Like, they didn't go into. I meant more of like the backdrop.
Sure.
It was like a very 4 backdrop type of movie.
Then they add in a little bit of the relationship with the brother.
You're correct. They absolutely could get Elena and stuff in there,
and
that could
Sam
be the movie.
and Chloe.
But it's gonna be. But the story they would tell would have to be new.
Maybe.
Like the setting and stuff would have to be new. I think.
Yeah, like what they're after.
What they're doing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the plot, I guess. Like the big. The elevator pitch would have to be a new place that we haven't done in a game yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's Uncharted 4. Maybe the movie opens with Tom Holland diving in a lake for some old storage shit.
It's funny because like when they chose Tom Holland as Nate, it seemed to me like automatically they'd have to have more games because Tom Holland's he's just a little boy. You know, he's just this sweet young man. He needs to. I think he needs to like age up a little bit. Yeah, he's got to bulk up a little bit. Sully's definitely young in this. So like the characters, like if to me in the timeline, it almost should have been like a prequel type of feel, which I guess is to a certain degree.
A lot of people thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
when it was announced.
Sean,
he just has to grow up a little.
Tom Holland is. I'm just curious. How old do you think Tom Holland is?
26.
He's 28.
Okay, not too bad.
He's getting up there.
Getting up there. You know,
not for Nathan Drake. He's
Nathan Drake. I definitely picture
Nathan Drake is like 32, our age.
33.
Yeah, he's getting closer to that Nathan Drake age in like the Uncharted, like the beginning of the series. The first movie,
exactly.
He was the first movie. He was like young Nathan Drake.
Yeah, dude, he's like behind the bar. It doesn't even look like he was allowed in there.
Right. Yeah.
He's sitting there like cleaning glasses and stuff.
It's like you are a teenager. Don't you have class to get to or something?
Exactly.
I mean, he just has a baby face to begin with.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Not young.
Yeah, just casting.
Okay, so Rude Days has given us a scoring update. He says our Devon Invitational midseason PSVG champion has been crowned. He credits Nathan for picking up 2 points for the Celtics win. Congrats to Delvin and his PSVG Firefly Funhouse buddies. Devin picked up a point in the over on Elden Ring, and a very weary tribal chief Donnie with 32, Delvin with 27, and Dev now in last place at 26. So we're starting to tighten up here.
How bad is Dev doing where he is losing when
like you've just missed half the year and you're still here? Yeah,
I missed half the year, and not only that, we just started using other points from other people. It's not like that was
true.
A new thing.
So our first two here are over or under 82.5 for Black Myth Wukong. I think that's a really good number, Rude. I'll take the over because I have them in the lead. I have to pick first, so I'll take the over.
I'm gonna take the under.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be like 79.
I could see it. I honestly, both of these, I could see going either way. I'm like, I'm 50. I'm literally, I have no educated guess here. I'm just like, I had to pick one, so I picked one. I don't know.
Yeah,
Sean, what do you think?
How pissy are games media these days? I think that's all that really matters.
I think Black Myth Wukong has the chance to review very well. Everything that I've seen about it looks excellent.
Yeah.
Got this Monkey King. It's very anime, but like I love the parry dodge thing where like I'm not sure if you guys have seen it where like you dodge and there's like a ghost of where you were stays there to where you go to the like it's very anime. I'm like video gamers are going to eat this the fuck up. Like this is a video game ass video game. So I'm believing in hope here. I think Wukong does well.
I'm going over too.
It's repetitive.
Over under 82.5 for Concord, and here's where I'll take the under.
I'm taking the under too.
Well, at least I won't lose a point to this one.
Way under. Is there like a double under option?
You want to double down? Get double points?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like, or not unfortunately, but like oddly, that's a game that I thought when we watched that, I watched it live and I was reacting to it live. I thought Concord looked good.
Oh.
In the face of the entire internet, I'm like, well, I'm not going to take the over because everybody apparently hates it.
I was in and I was out. I'm
like,
that looks cool. And then the dude's falling and it's robots.
See, like,
I'm just like,
for me, I'm kind of, I have no investment on a game like this. So I'm very disconnected. Sure. One, I don't play games like this. So maybe that means my opinion is like literally an uneducated opinion. But like for me, I'm just kind of looking at like how it was presented. I'm like, this looks very polished, very pristine. This looks like a very well-made video game. Like this is good to me. I don't want to play it. I don't play games like this, but it looks good. And everybody's like, this is the worst shit that I've ever seen. I was like, where is all this vitriol coming from? God damn.
Put it back. Put it back.
People hate this game. I was like, whoa. I really swung and a miss. I was very disconnected from the internet on that one. Because I just thought Concord just looked like an average, well-made. I was like, this is a good video game. What was that that car racing game that we got on PlayStation 5 when it launched? That I don't think that did well either, but like it looked good.
Was it Drive Club?
No. Like the battle arena car thing. You guys remember?
Destruction Derby, something like that.
Yeah, like I remember when I saw that, I was like, that looks good. Like it looks fun. It looks like it doesn't look like a bad game. Like, right? It's not like when I look at a bad game, I need to see like a broken game, like broken like that's a bad game.
Yeah.
You know, like I guess what I'm trying to say is like my scale slides.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, this looks decent. People are like, this sucks. Part of me is always like, I always want to scream the internet. I'm like, y'all apparently haven't played bad video games.
Oh,
okay, like y'all need to go play some Game Mill games before y'all starts hating on Concord.
That's very true.
Okay, go play some fucking King Kong, and then come back to me and tell me Concord sucks.
Oh, get your 1,000 gamer score while you're at it.
Yeah. So that gets us to questions, and if you don't mind, Dalvin, because I want to make you talk more, will you take over?
Sure. Let me go get the question then. Also, Rude Days, give Dev Sean Caprice points.
Nope, can't have it. Nope, he gets no points.
I should have my own score at this point.
You don't get points if you don't show up. That's the rules. You don't get the points.
Well,
yeah, that holds up.
Oh, okay, I tried that. Sorry.
Look at Yarden.
Oh man.
More like Boroville.
I do think it's more of the hero shooters. I do think that's the Concord has taken the brunt for that. I think Concord just happens to be like the one too many of these. It just showed up just a little too late.
we already have Guardians of the Galaxy and Overwatch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Our first question is from Hambone Johnny. Any thoughts on the Rogue Ally X? Are you guys planning to stream the Devolver Showcase? Spoilers.
Well, that happened already. Yeah, I guess that's an old question.
Will we finally have a date for Plucky Squire? And what else are you hoping to see there? Well, this is all going to happen, Johnny.
Plucky Squire previews went up today, and they're pretty glowing, and I continue to think it looks amazing. We did not stream the Devolver Showcase because Dev couldn't make it. It wasn't that amazing of a showcase.
I agree.
Anyway, I did enjoy like the premise, but the showcase overall was more of the same.
Yeah.
I think the Rogue Ally is a much needed improvement. It looks like the perfected model of what it could be. It's just way too expensive. It's way too it's crazy. It's way too expensive.
How much is
I think this thing is hundreds above where it needs to be. So
how much is it?
I want to say I think it's $6.99.
I already got one, so I'm not trading in my
but it is. Here's the thing. I love the Rogue Ally. I sold mine, but I just sold mine because I didn't want to be left with one that was worthless because I knew the new one was coming.
Yeah.
But I did take no disrespect. I loved the Rogue Ally. The new one is that, but it has more RAM and it has like 3 to 4 hours of battery life, and that is a game changer for that system. Like, because the battery life was the thing that was holding it back. If you were playing a new AAA game, you'd be lucky to get 45 minutes of battery life out of the first one.
Oof.
I mean, it was I have portable batteries because I had the Rogue Ally. Like I bought other batteries to carry with me.
Wow.
But the experience, the usability, the actual performance, I loved having it. Yeah. But I'm in that place now where I've really fallen back in love with my Switch, and there'll be no new handhelds until after the Switch 2 comes. Like I am 100%. Give me the Switch 2, and then I'll reevaluate if I need a PC handheld. Yeah. And that goes Steam Deck, ROG. If Xbox is doing something, I will not consider any of them until after I have my Switch 2. Yeah. Then we'll reevaluate.
I'm all in on the PC handhelds. Give me more of them, baby.
I'm also like in that weird, so I got that Razer controller that connects to my iPad. So like in the PC space, I can use that to play any PC game I want. So I'm also like kind of good on the PC space too.
Okay, that makes sense then.
I'm gonna build a PC this year, Donnie. We're getting there.
I love hearing that. Like that's awesome.
We're getting there, man. I almost pulled the trigger on a CPU earlier this week, and I hesitated. I asked a couple people some questions. Some people were like, "Go in, do it." Other people were like, "I'm not so sure." So I waited, and it's gone. The deal is gone.
Oh man!
The deal is gone. If anybody, whoever planted, doubt in my mind,
you can't have that skeptic. You need that trigger figure, Sean.
Yeah.
By the way, has anybody seen that Switch Lite go live yet? Because I need that fucking Switch Lite in my life.
Half the games from the Direct aren't even up. I want to buy the Zelda
vouchers
game.
or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, like I got a
I've
voucher.
been checking throughout the day.
allowed.
I've been like refreshing. Like, can I buy any of this?
The podcast.
Fucking Metal Gear. They released another trailer. They had another second half featurette. They're like, here's more. I'm like, will you fucking release anything but a release date? What are you doing over there?
Yep, still not there. You can buy Metroid Prime and Metroid Remaster Dread, but no Zelda. Come on, Nintendo. What are you doing? Or the app for Nintendo 64 for mature 17 plus.
See, they're like, everybody's playing Perfect Dark. We'll get up to them next week.
Yeah,
with the pre-orders.
Just keep checking.
All right. Our next question from Tara, aka Bleeps and Bloops. In the zombie apocalypse, would you tell the people you are with if you were bitten? Trying to figure out who I could be friends with. Looking at you, Dev and Del. Well, Dev's not here, but you can't trust him. So, if you guys get bitten in the zombie apocalypse, would you tell the people you're with that you were bitten?
Yeah.
I would. Because
I think I'd just leave.
No, then I would make it. No, because then you'd come back and like we'd find you and you'd be a zombie.
Yeah, I'm a zombie. I don't know where I'm getting back. I honestly think I would just pick up and leave. I think I would just kind of slip out.
I would leave a note. I'm gone. I got bit. Peace out.
I don't even know where I'd leave a note. Like, I think I would literally just pick up a bag and just kind of like exit stage left.
Yeah.
I would make you
pretty much like go sit under a tree and just watch it all end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd make you live with the scar of killing real human Sean.
It's just Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah. Welcome to Shaun of the Dead.
Playing video games. Sean's all chained up and collared. Like, yo, you gonna take your turn?
Knowing my luck, it'd be like a fucking dog bite. It's a zombie bite.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the end.
So, yeah. All right. Our next question. I'm trying to save this TPR question for last.
Okay.
I think that's going to be a conversation me and Donnie are going to have. I don't know if
we can do that next week with Dev. Actually, Dev's. No, we should probably do it because Dev's.
I don't give a damn about basketball.
Well, Dev is out next week too. Like Dev's gone for a while, so
okay.
We might as well get it done.
Okay. Well, let me see. Let's have to ask the question now. TPR, Kyle the Pug's question. Fuck you, Kyle the Pug. Now that the Wyatt Six have made their presence felt on the latest Monday Night Raw, who do you think they should feud with first? So, Sean Capri, did you see this? Do you know who the Wyatt Six are?
No.
Okay. I'll let Donnie explain to you who the Wyatt Six are and why it's so important.
The Wyatt Six is a new faction the WWE just introduced. It's Bray Wyatt's brother carrying on his gimmick with four other wrestlers. So they were all just kind of reintroduced in the Bray Wyatt style and the vignette and everything. And it's very supernatural and horror and all of that.
Okay.
So yeah, this is kind of like their way of doing this.
Yeah, they came back and killed everybody in Raw, apparently.
They did kill what's his face? What is his name? I just forgot his name. I was gonna say Drew Gulak, but it's not Gulak. What's his name?
No, it's Shorty G, aka what is his name?
There it is. Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Chad Gable. There you go.
Chad Gable. Thank you. Yeah, that escaped me too. They definitely killed him. He had blood running down his face and everything.
And like he had a bullet hole. Like they shoot him.
I don't know who they feud with first. I would tell you, I think it needs to be somebody on the lower card because I think for a moment you just need to feed the monster. I think they just need to show up and wreck shop.
You know who I immediately thought of?
And
this is going to probably be a little bit mean. Karrion Kross's faction.
That's totally fine. Just feed them.
Beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah. Like you just need to feed some people to them, establish them as a threat first. Now, the first feud that I think matters, I do think you can use the Wyatt Six to destroy Judgment Day. Judgment Day is already falling apart. So you can just give Wyatt Six that rub and let them be the next faction.
I was going to say the first feud that probably shouldn't matter, besides, would be Braun Strowman. And I think Braun Strowman should end up joining them.
See, I'm holding that spot for Alexa, but if she's not in the cards, then sure. But I would hold that. I also don't want Braun to overshadow anybody that's in the faction.
This is unrelated to the question and the topic at hand, but my heart out has arrived. I'm going to go parent to my kids now.
Thanks for hanging with us while you could.
Amazing, dude. I got to watch this documentary. Yes. Amazing. Love you all. I will see you guys.
See you
Can I
guys.
just leave? Do I break anything?
Just
Okay.
bounce.
Just leave the camera on, everything. We'll hear everything in your house. It's fine.
Absolutely not.
See you, dude.
Later. Yeah, I think I would like to see Nikki Cross and Alexa feud for a while.
You actually, you want the story of them actually turning Alexa.
Yeah. I think
So my thing with Alexa, so I talked to Kevin about this. When they showed the faction, obviously Nikki's already in. I was like, okay, most factions don't have more than one woman. It's not that they shouldn't or couldn't. It's just they just don't. It's just not like a thing you see often. So, but in my head, I was like, but if you put Alexa in, Alexa and Nikki can kind of become that women's tag team title style. Like they can wreck shop there and potentially help elevate people out into singles like Jade. Like you could give them something to work with for a while. That's an actual real feud that you could do for a half a year or a year. You know, like there's stuff there. So I don't hate that idea. But to be honest with you, I don't know what they're doing with Alexa. I know she had a kid. I don't know if she's coming back. I have no idea.
She might not. Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people are like, who's the sixth guy? Honestly, they could just be like Bray's the sixth guy, like the spirit of Bray is the sixth man. You know,
Bray
like
Wyatt's the sixth guy. We don't.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. There's a lot of room here, so I'm interested to see where they go with it.
I'm really excited for it. I'm really happy for
the ratings for it were through the roof. I don't know if you know that.
That's great. I did not know
the third hour they retained way more of their audience than they ever have in like a year. The YouTube views they've crushed everything they've done since like WrestleMania by like 500,000. It's not even close. So like people are here for it. I was actually thinking that they teased it too much and that people were going to be tired before it ever got started, but that's clearly not the case.
I love it. I loved every moment of it. I think it reminded me, it was one of the coolest things I've seen. Well, I guess since, in terms of, besides The Rock returning, shit, like just like in a long time, I guess since The Fiend's debut.
Right.
It was just such a unique, cool thing that we don't really get in wrestling anymore. Like House of Black tried to do it. It was okay, but it wasn't the same. You know,
the production value on this was through the roof. And you gotta like in the Raw was a really great episode of Raw, but like they showed backstage, they showed Gorilla multiple times. They did all of that production during the main event.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty impressive.
I even like the social media aspect of it and the aftermath we're seeing of it. Like Jay Uso's like, you know what? I was having the Fireflies to represent Bray because I love Bray. I don't need that shit no more.
He's like, I don't want that smoke.
I don't want no smoke like that.
Did you see the theory that I posted in the Discord about this?
What was your theory?
So it's not my theory. I came across a Reddit theory that I thought, I have no idea if this is what they're going to do. I think it might be like too deep for WWE to do because they usually have a lot of like surface level type stuff with their stories. But I came across this fan theory on Reddit where they said, I think the gimmick should be that Taylor, Bo Dallas, excuse me, my cat's about to step on my keyboard. Annabelle, please go somewhere else. That Taylor is so hurt by the passing of his brother that the Wyatt Six are just trying to like lash out and inflict that amount of pain on everybody else that they come across. Like that's their gimmick. So you have people trying to reach him, like good people, like friends, you know, like in the theory, they use Seth Rollins. Like you have Seth Rollins be like, dude, I miss Bray too. Like, I understand what you're going through. Like, I'm here for you. And they just fucking destroy him. And I'm like, there is so much here for that story to be told, because you could do that, kind of allow everybody to like go on that ride and heal with Taylor at the same time, but then also set up a tremendous like redemption arc where he comes out of that gimmick in a different way. I have no idea if that's what they're going to do, but it was the best thing that I came across in light of the unveiling. I was like, if this is it, I am so fucking here for it, because this could be great.
I really dig it. I really dig the fact that they brought back Eric Rowan. I
love
the fact that he has the hammer.
See, that's why I don't want Braun to be in there.
Yeah.
I don't want him to. I think if you put Braun in it, he overshadows the other members, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen.
That's very possible because Braun is kind of a larger than life character. But yeah, I really dig what they're doing. I like the fact that they paid tribute to Brody Lee as well with the whole thing, and I really thought that was dope because I love Brody Lee. Like Brody Lee's AEW run to me was fantastic.
Yeah, and no, it was really, that was when AEW was good. No offense, but like that was the last time I really cared about AEW. It was back then. It's been a minute.
I love Brody Lee. Like he was one of my favorite wrestlers in AEW. I like, and so when I saw that,
he was great.
Like Brody Lee's death hit me hard because I was like, whoa. Because I don't know if you know this, but he was a big part of being the elite.
And yeah, no, I know that. I never really watched it, but I knew that.
Yeah, and you got to see like his comedic side. He was very funny, hilarious.
He was, yeah.
And then you got to also see his relationship with his son.
Yeah.
So when he passed, and you knowing all these things about his son and his wife, like this is a lot to take in. And you saw the people who he touched with his spirit, like like oh. This is like a genuinely good dude. And then you hear the stories about Bray Wyatt and how depressed he was on learning of Brody Lee's passing, how close they were. Then you kind of add that together, and then you get Bray's passing. Then you get the whole how it affects so many people. Like you hear some people talk about so positive about Bray and Brody, and then you get to this.
Well, I mean, we talked about it then. I remember I talked about with Sean off air. I hate to even I was in tears, and I have no reason to be in tears. I did not know Bray Wyatt. It's not my family, it's not my friend. I don't know him. We weren't that close. I was devastated. He is literally the reason that I came back to wrestling for so many years. Like he was, I mean, I think our folks know that. He was the whole thing for me. And when it first happened, I was sure it was a suicide. Based on everything that was going on, I was distraught. I was like, please God, no. I was very actually relieved to hear that wasn't the case. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think I took it hard. It was just too, parasocial stuff was too invested, I think.
But that's what happened when you get characters that just touch you somewhere emotionally and spiritually.
Exactly. I don't think I would have felt that way for anybody else on the roster. He was the guy. Yeah. It was him.
Was that for me. DMX was
and you see it in his wake of how that entire company was shaken, top to bottom, backstage, on screen, talent, executives. He was just an oasis of creativity. It just flowed out of him. I'll never forget our Sweet Hangs years ago with that Cena match, dude. I was through the roof. It's still the greatest wrestling content I've ever watched. Nothing's come close to that. I'm like, this is it's so meta. It's so next level. It's so beyond anything. It reached a place I've never seen wrestling go. And it's because of Bray. And John Cena's it's all Bray. And that's everybody's it's just, he lived in his own universe,
And the cool thing about it is, if you pay attention to it, it's a great tribute to John Cena.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really great tribute to John Cena in a wrestling match. It's just amazing. It's amazing to watch.
It's a real world. It's fake. It's meta. It was transcendent. What he did with Cena's career, honoring Cena, their story together, Vince McMahon, WCW, it's so multi-layered, so multifaceted. If you just thought it was a vignette and you didn't you missed the whole point. It was such a deep thinking that I've never seen wrestling ever go to. Not even close, actually. So. It was art. I was in the moment. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
One of my great things I think we're gonna miss is the fact that I would have loved to see that Bray Wyatt face Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, that would have been. And I was so excited when he came back. I was in tears when he came back in his promo where he was just shooting. And I was like, dude, this could be great. And actually, I wanted to say that. I want to see Bo without the mask too. See, I'm thinking I want to see very positive Bo without the mask and then Bray Wyatt Bo with the mask. I want a kind of a Fiend thing here. I would love for somebody to walk by Bo and the crew, and they're just like street clothes, and people are like, aren't you guys the Wyatt Six? And they're just like, what are you talking about, dude? And like that would be a fun dichotomy to see like on screen.
Agree.
There's a lot of places this gimmick could go, but it all falls apart if they don't treat it with any sort of respect. You know, if they farm it, and I don't think they will, because when I say they means a lot of things differently in WWE. If Vince McMahon was still in charge, I'd be very concerned right now.
I would have no faith in it.
Because I would think it's another fucking retribution T-bar bullshit. You know, with Triple H there, I am putting my faith in him that they will be treated correctly in kayfabe. And it doesn't matter because it's all fake and pretend, but to the customers and people who watch, it does matter. You can't just go farm them out to mid-carders and shit. They can't go out there and lose to, you know, some mixed match hodgepodge tag team, and they can't just be filler. You know, like, you're using their legacy. It can't become an exploitation of what Bray Wyatt was. It needs to be a tribute of what Bray Wyatt was. And those are
shield.
Yeah, those are two different things.
Retribution needs to be the shield. Needs to be something that's brought up and kind of put on a high level that it could be, like the old Wyatt family, like the original Wyatt family.
Exactly.
When they first came out, they were like an unstoppable force, and it took
ideally years down the road, a year, 2 years. Ideally, I'd love to see this thing culminate in a Wyatt Six versus Bloodline thing. Ideally, like that's where this. When you do this and you exploit the passing of his brother, somebody that's so iconic, a future Hall of Famer, when you do this, it needs to culminate in something that matters. And like in my head, that's the only thing that it could be at the moment. It's kind of got to go there. Or they got to build something else up for it to be there, but it's got to mean something. It can't just be, we did it so we can play the intro a few times for half a year and then it goes away. That would be very unfortunate.
I think they'll do right by it. I think they are aware of how important Bray Wyatt's legacy was to wrestling fans.
Yeah. And I don't even talking like kayfabe, like belts. It's above belts. This is way more important than anything has anything to do with any of that. You know, like I'm foreseeing, like, ideally, I'd love to see the Wyatt Six get booked into such an important feud that, like, at WrestleMania, you can finally see them like unmask and maybe find some peace, and you spin them all out into they're in better places because of it, you know, and like that's a lasting tribute. That's kind of like in my head, that's the end game that I would be trying to work towards.
I agree.
Yeah, because you see them building this faction into such an unstoppable force that they either get put in a giant feud like that, or you even propel Bo into like a Mania match against Roman or Seth or Cody to the point where like he comes so close to winning that he can take the match. Like he finds some solace, he finds some peace. Like that's an incredible story.
I agree. I think this has potential to be something great.
It does.
Like
if cared for.
Undertaker's level is great. I think what I've always appreciated about the Undertaker, that he transcends time. Like he's timeless. Like even like
yeah.
If you look at the gimmicks from the early 90s to now, the one that always stood the test of time that everybody just bought into was the Undertaker. Like no matter what silly goofy shit the Undertaker may have did, people are like, all right, it's the Undertaker. It's okay. He can disappear and reappear because it's the fucking Undertaker.
And he can change multiple times. He can become a fucking biker, and he can become like literally a cult leader, and like he can be like good and bad. And he's an MMA fighter for a while, and you need no explanation. You need no reason for the change. Like nothing. He literally just shows up, is that, and you're like, fucking let's roll. Like that's all that is necessary.
That's what Bray Wyatt was going to be, and I think that's
Bray had that. Bray had that. I don't know if you could expect the Wyatt Six to have. That was a unique to Bray thing. I do think that's a Bray Wyatt thing. I don't think you can expect that out of Taylor.
It's possible.
I think this can't be his lifelong thing. This needs to have an end that gets them there to then Bo Dallas can move forward being something else. In my mind, like he just can't be Bray Wyatt either. because he's never going to live up to that. Like, this has to go somewhere. This has to take Nikki Cross and everybody else. This has got to take them somewhere else. It's got to be a mode, a travel to get somewhere else for all of these people.
Ideally, I would hope that he takes it, runs with it, and involves it into something else that's his own. Which I don't know how he is his own, but
yeah,
he can build on that and kind of build his own legacy with that. And I think this is a great opportunity for him, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's finally something for Bo Dallas is actually I think an underappreciated talent. He's been overshadowed by his brother. He's been overshadowed by the people that are on top. He's always been a very good worker. He's been in the ring. He's gotten several gimmicks over. He's just never had a gimmick that mattered until now. This is the first one that, like, he actually has some responsibility here. It's not just a fun time. I think he's ready for it. I've always thought, I think I've told you this before, he's always reminded me of Canyon. I can't get it out of my head. Every time I see him wrestle, I see Canyon.
He does have a little bit of Canyon,
Yeah, and I think in a gimmick that matters, could be very special.
I agree. Well, I think that's a great way to end this podcast. We can answer the rest of these questions next week because
okay.
I thought it was that was solid. Oh, to answer your question, Jess, I have not played Pokemon Go in several years, and even when I played it, I didn't play it like that.
Yeah, I haven't really played it in a long time either.
Yeah, we'll answer the rest of these questions next week. There's only like 2 more questions left we can answer next week. I think that was a good way
and we did the thing. We did 90 minutes. I thought it was a fun show. I told you I had something I wanted to bring, and I was excited to do it, and so I had fun doing it.
That was great. Now
hope folks liked it.
4-hour documentary.
I gotta go play Half-Life.
Yeah, Half-Life's really good.
I've never played it. I've never even tried to play it. I've never even turned it on. Never played it. So I'm excited to get into it.
I'm going to be really interested to hear your thoughts on Half-Life.
Yeah, I think I'm going to finish Doom first, and then I think I'm going to play Half-Life. But like, I'm kind of using this opportunity to let everybody know, and I have to do on Shack too. I don't know what the next few like big games are coming out, but if you're expecting me to play them, and they might be on hold for a minute because like I kind of want to take some time to go do something like I want to do, and then I'll come back to whenever the games show up. So
you expect me to play them? You lost your goddamn. I barely can play the shit I want to play.
That's honestly, that's where I've been. It's like I've been struggling between I want to play this because it's the new thing that everybody's playing, and I want to play this because it's like the exclusive people expecting to play. And like in the back of my head, I'm like, but I really just like want to play Doom, and I really just want to go play like some of these things that I want to play. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for a little bit, and then hopefully I'll get done by the time Zelda or whatever shows up.
I'll give you a funny story about it before we go. I've been people know I've been moving stuff, right? So my PlayStation is at my new house. So I moved a whole bunch of stuff in my house. I said, let me turn it on a little bit and play it. There's this game that you know this game because it came out. I think you mentioned it to Garrett. It's called Capes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real-time strategy superhero game. I loaded it up. I'm excited to play. I'll play it for a couple of minutes. As soon as I started playing it, I literally fell asleep with the controller in my hand.
I've done that. That's been a thing for me in the recent years where I sit down to start playing and I start to get sleepy and start to get tired and fall asleep.
Yes. So I literally fell asleep with the controller in my hand, woke up like, oh.
You're too old, man.
Let me continue moving this stuff. I turn it off. That's the most gaming I've got done this whole week.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, that was a fun show. Hopefully you guys liked it, and we'll catch you next week. We'll have JV will be on the show next week, filling in for Dev, and then hopefully 2-3 weeks from now, Dev will be back. But until next week, play some video games.